Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to a brand new video. And of course, this is your Premier League predictions because we're back because we've got midweek Premier League action. So like and subscribe. We are here, of course, for Game Week 14. But first, let's go back to Game Week 13 and see how many I got right. As you guys can see now on screen, these are the predictions that I had and the actual results were. So Brentford, I start off by saying that Brentford will beat Burnley 2-0. It ended up being 3-1. I then said Man City will beat Leeds 3-1. It ended up being 3-2 in a really entertaining game from a game that looked like nothing when we were getting battered 2-0 to it being 2-2 and then conceding in the 90th minute. Next up, what we had was Sunderland versus Bournemouth, where I went for a 2-1 Bournemouth win. It ended up being a 3-2 Sunderland win in that game. The next game we had was Newcastle versus Everton. I said 2-1 to Newcastle. It ended up being 4-1 Newcastle. They absolutely battered Everton. The next game was Crystal Palace was Spurs versus Fulham. I said a 2-1 Spurs win. It ended up being the reverse and being a 2-1 Fulham win because Spurs are useless. Next up we had was Crystal Palace versus Man United. I said a 2-0 Palace win. They were winning 1-0 at halftime, and I looked at the game and being like, Palace will probably win this. And then Man United came out in the second half and then scored 2 goals and won 2-1. The next game is Villa versus Wolves. I said a 1-0 win I said a 3-0 win, to Villa. It ended up being 1-0 to Villa. They only managed to score 1 goal. I thought they would score a lot more. Next up was Forest versus Brighton. I said 2-1 to Brighton. It ended up being 2-0 to Brighton, so close with that one. I just thought Forest might have scored in that game. Next up we had was Liverpool versus West Ham, and I thought they would get back to winning ways, and I was correct as I predicted a 2-0 win, and it was a 2-0 win to Liverpool. I correctly guessed the result. Next game and the final game of the game week was Arsenal versus Chelsea, where I predicted Arsenal to win 2-0 and ended up being a 1-1 draw, while Chelsea had a red card. So Chelsea had a red card in that game, and yeah, did not expect that, to be honest. I thought after that Arsenal were going to win the game, but it ended up being a very close one and ending 1-1. So now we go into Game Week 14 and my Game Week 14 Premier League predictions. Let's start off with the first game that we've got is Bournemouth versus Everton. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. I think this game will end in a draw. Everton off the back of a loss. You got Bournemouth also off the back of a loss, and I think they're going to draw this. I just have a feeling they're going to draw it, and it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Next game we've got is Fulham versus Manchester City. Now, going into this game, Manchester City, of course, off a last-minute winner against Leeds United in the 90th minute. Fulham also beaten Spurs 2-0. So going into this game, I do expect Man City to win again. If they want to keep the title race alive, they're going to have to. And they're going to have to make sure they don't crumble like they almost did against Leeds United, if they take a lead, don't crumble. But as I said, I'm predicting a 2-1 Manchester City win. So I think they'll be in another close one. I do think it'll be like 2-0 City, and then Fulham will get like a consolation goal, and it'll end 2-1. Yeah, so the next game we got is Newcastle versus Spurs. Spurs have been terrible, to be honest, this season. Let's be real. And they're up against Newcastle, who are amazing at home. So Newcastle are amazing at home. Spurs have actually been amazing away from home this season. But I do think, Newcastle are going to have too much for them. I do have a feeling Newcastle will have too much for them. I'm going to predict a 2-0 Newcastle win. So I think Newcastle will have too much for Spurs, and they'll score twice, and they'll get a clean sheet and win it 2-0. The next game we got is Arsenal versus Brentford, and I think Arsenal are going to get back to winning ways, which is what they need to do if they want to win the title, because Manchester City are slowly creeping up. Game after game, they're catching up. They're actually catching up, and I do think they're going to win this game, though. Arsenal at home against Brentford, I think they're going to win this game 2-0. Next game, what we got is Brighton versus Aston Villa. Now, going into this game, what do I think? Of course, you got Villa and Brighton, who are two teams. You got Villa, who are probably fighting right now for top 4. Brighton, who are a good team and probably expect to finish around mid-table, maybe upper mid-table this season. Going into this game, what do I expect? Villa did play Wolves in this week, so you can't really take anything into that. They did beat them. And, of course, Brighton as well. You look at Brighton, and they won as well, 2-0 against Forest. I have to try and see where it was. Yeah, but they won 2-0 against Forest. I do think this game will end in a 1-1 draw. I think Brighton and Villa will share the points and get a 1-1 draw. Next up, we've got Burnley versus Crystal Palace. Burnley are at home, but I think Crystal Palace will have too much for them. I think Crystal Palace will win this game. I think it's going to be another clean sheet, and I think they're going to win this game 2-0. I just think Palace are a very good team, and they'll actually win this game. Next up we got is Wolves, who are, they're relegated, by the way. They're on 2 points. They're done for. It's all over for Wolves. They look better against Villa, only losing 1-0. They did score a goal as well, which was ruled out because the person that was offside was obstructing the keeper's vision. So they could have went 1-0 up in that game, so they looked better, but I do think they'll still easily go down like 2 points, and I think they'll lose this game as well, as I said. I do think, as I said, I mean, I just said that. I mean, I do think Forest will beat Wolves and they'll win this game 2-0. So a 2-0 Forest win. Next up is Leeds United versus Chelsea at Elland Road. And I think we're going to be up for this game, especially if we go with the 3-5-2. I have a feeling if we go with the 3-5-2 in this game, we might actually beat Chelsea. And I've said from the start of the season, this is the fixture that I've looked at when I did look at the fixture and say, I have a feeling, a weird feeling that we'll just beat Chelsea. Like, it's one of those fixtures that you look at and you say, I'm weirdly very optimistic going into this game, and I think we're going to win it. So I'm going to say a 2-1 Leeds United win against Chelsea. And yeah, it'll be a massive 3 points that will probably lift us out of the relegation zone if all my results are correct. Next up we got is Liverpool versus Sunderland. Now, Sunderland, of course, beating Bournemouth. Liverpool back to winning ways, finally, after beating West Ham 2-0. But I do think Liverpool are going to start a little bit of a winning streak. I think they're going to win this game as well. I think they're going to have a bit too much for Sunderland. I think they're going to win it 1-0. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think Liverpool are going to get that one goal that they need in this game to win it. And the final game that we got of the game week is Manchester United versus West Ham. Now, going into this game, you know, West Ham in a relegation battle on the same points as Leeds United right now. You got Man United, who beat Crystal Palace, which is a good result against a good team. And I think they're going to win again, Man United. I think they're going to have too much for West Ham, being at home at Old Trafford as well. And I actually think they're going to win this game. I do think it's going to be close, though. Like, I'm not going to say that, oh my God, they're going to batter them. It's going to be a smashing. I'm going to say a 2-1 win to Manchester United. So that's my final prediction. And as you guys can see right now, all my predictions are on screen. So all my predictions are on screen right now. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know your score predictions in the comments down below. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.